But I do think that there's one thing that they need to know, and that I think I want to bring up before we bring the prep plans, because there are things that they need to know before they start doing.
Right.
There's a mindset and there's a misconception that I think should be out of the way before day one of the preparations. And I think that you'll agree with me, because this is one of our greatest frustrations of all times in case interview prep. But here's the thing. When candidates start learning about case interviews, it's probably at university, in their undergrad studies or in their MBAs.
Yeah.
And the thing that they're going to listen the most, that they're going to hear the most, is you prep to cases by doing mock interviews.
Yeah.
By doing a lot of them.
Even if you're an experienced candidate and you're not in a university context, you're going to listen to that online or in books as well.
Yeah, that's what's being said everywhere. And if you have some time to think about it, you're going to realize that it's silly. But I want to explain why it's silly, and I want to explain the right mindset to this preparation. So here's the thing. Learning how to solve case interviews is a skill, is a complex skill. Because it's not a simple skill like shooting an arrow with the same arrow, with the same bow, at the same point, at the same target, at a given distance, and everything is fixed. That would be a simple skill. It's a complex skill like
it's a
playing
difficult
sport.
one, but it's simple because it's muscle memory.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's a complex one like playing a sport or playing an instrument, where there are several different sub-skills and there are implicit and explicit rules within, and you need to learn all that.
Yeah.
So if you were to learn how to play the guitar just by playing the guitar, they will give you a guitar and say, play 100 hours. You wouldn't be able to do it.
Or learn 100 songs.
Or learn 100 songs, yeah. Or if they were to tell you to learn how to play football by throwing you in a court and saying, play 100 games, and not even explain to you the rules or what the skills are or allow you to practice the skills, you would still be terrible by the end. So the right mindset to think about case interviews, and I think this precedes all of the preparation, is this is like learning a complex skill. What this means is, first, you have to learn the dynamics and the rules, the implicit and explicit rules of that game.
Mm-hmm.
That's not too complex, but if you don't do that, that's going to get mixed up with the skills. And second, you need to identify what these smaller skills are so that you can see what you're good at, what you're bad at, and improve in what you're bad and leverage what you're good in. An example would be, let's say you're playing football. I'm terrible at football, but I've played a lot, so this is always the example that comes to my mind.
You're talking about European football.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So first you need to learn...
So soccer.
Yeah.
For the Americans out there.
Right. When I was a little kid, the first thing that I needed to learn was not to put my hands on the ball.
Yeah.
And that's one of the first things, that's one of the rules, and that you need to score, and et cetera, et cetera. But then the next thing is learning that you need to pass the ball, you need to kick, you need to use your head, you need to position your body in the field, and you need to defend. And those are all sub-skills.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually you understand that you have some strengths and some weaknesses.
Yeah.
You leverage your strengths by choosing what position you play, and you try to fix your weaknesses even if they're not super important in your position. Like a defender needs to know how to kick because sometimes they'll have the opportunity and they need to score.
Yeah.
And an attacker will need, a striker will need to know how to defend because sometimes they're going to need to defend.
Yeah.
And in case interviews, you don't pick your position, but it's a similar thing in the sense that you will leverage your strengths and you will fix your weaknesses. Now, in this case, we're super tight in time, so we're most likely not going to have people improve their strengths. I think that you'll end up agreeing with me in this one.
Yeah.
But you are going to need to identify the sub-skills and see what you're good and what you're bad at and use that to your knowledge rather than just doing mock interviews.
All right, let me try to wrap this up to people because so in case prep in general, regardless of how much time you have, if you only do mock interviews, it's like trying to learn a sport, basketball, football, American football, whatever, by just playing games.
Yeah.
And in practice, that's not what they do. They study the sport, they learn some techniques, some strategies, and they also do a ton of drills.
Yeah.
So like just shooting, just passing, just dribbling, etc. So that's in general. What I think you implied, and that's how I think at least, if you're short on time, this distinction is even more important.
Yeah.
Because just doing mock interviews, it's a more random way of learning, right?
Yeah.
You may learn something specific that you need at mock interview number 10 or at mock interview number 70.
Yeah.
So if you have like 3 years to prepare, you could just do mock interviews forever. It's a very inefficient way to do it, to prepare, but it's okay. Like you have enough time.
Yeah.
But if you're short on time, you have to be very strategic on when you use mock interviews, when you use practice targeted drills, when you learn techniques, right? So
yes,
that's one aspect of it. And the other aspect that you mentioned is weaknesses versus strengths. So if you talk to HR in a consulting firm, they're going to be very positive about the whole process and say that, oh, we're looking for your strengths and what you have to bring best to the firm and all that kind of stuff. And it's not wrong. It's not a lie, but it's misleading. And it's especially misleading to people who are short on time because they do have minimum bars for each skill. Yeah. Can you structure a problem? Can you communicate well? Can you do math and quantitative analysis and get to the answer, understand what it means? There are these minimum bars that if you don't clear, you won't be able to move forward and get the offer. So if you're short on time, you can take your strengths as they are, and you should probably focus on your weaknesses so you can clear these bars. Did I get what you said right?
Perfect. That's what I mean.
Okay, I add one thing.
What?
That people who are short on time should have in mind, which is that they should focus on getting first round ready instead of final round ready. So what I mean by this is when we help people who have like 3, 4, 6 months to prepare, we usually want them to be final round ready before their first rounds because they have the time to do so. And because then they don't have to worry about how much time they'll have between the first round and the final round. They'll be more calm. Yeah. Their chances of passing the first round are that much higher. But if you're short on time, you don't have time for that. So you should focus on being first round ready. And what do I mean by that? I mean mastering the 6 building blocks, which you can find in our free course. These are the 6 types of questions that you will get in any case. And there's techniques to solve each one of them. That's first round ready. What is final round ready in this context? It's, for example, being able to scope a problem that's poorly scoped. Yeah. Or being able to structure problems without touching on the pen and paper, right? Like some partners ask you to do. It's being able to do very crazy open-ended brainstormings about the future of an industry. Like it's not even a real problem that you have an actual answer and solution for that. So that those things are final round skills. In the first round, you need to master the 6 building blocks and know how to open, conduct, and conclude, like close a case. So now know how to control the case. And I'd argue that when you're short on time, you just have time for that. You can worry about the other stuff later. Yeah. It is a bit more risky, but it's what you got. Yeah. Do we agree on this?
Yeah.